Hey, freedom seekers! Welcome back to Set Yourself Free, the podcast where we share stories, strategies, and mindset shifts to help you break free from the 9 to 5, and most importantly, create the life you're obsessed with. I'm Eugenia, and today's episode is extra special because we have an incredible guest joining us, someone whose journey will truly inspire you. Trina has built an amazing business over the past 2.5 years, transforming just not her income, but her confidence, mindset, and life. What makes her story so powerful is that she came from the corporate world, just like many of us, and decided that she wanted more freedom, more fulfillment, and more purpose. And the best part, she made it happen. So, if you've ever wondered what it takes to go from a job that drains you to a life that lights you up, you're going to love this episode. Grab your 9.5 pH glass of water, your favorite notebook, and let's dive in. Let's set yourself free. Trina, I'm so happy to have you here as my first guest speaker. You started the business some months after me and have grown so much in the past years. I have always felt super inspired by you and really looking forward to sharing your story with others. I remember those first months when we were working to reach our next milestones together and did 75 hard. And here we are today, both of us thriving. So, for anyone who doesn't know you yet, can you share a little bit about your background and what your life looked like before you started this business?
Yes, and thank you so much for this kind introduction. You know how much I appreciate that you are in my life too, Eugenia. But let me share a little bit about myself. I am 32 years old, Danish gal, and I love animals. I grew up with horses, and now I have an Australian cattle dog and herd livestock with her. And I think some would even say that I'm a little cowgirl. And just like you, and yeah, you know that I love Highland cattle. So I am educated, what is called a pharmaconomist, and I have been working in the chemo industry for many years. And my current job is at a big medical company here in Denmark. And to tell you a bit about what my life looked like before starting this business, can be summed up something like this. I was very depressed. I felt like a complete failure in life. And I was really stuck not knowing how I would actually survive the next 40 years in the hamster wheel when all I actually wanted was to be in Africa working with wildlife conservation and, to be honest, be far away from people. And I had already had a life where I found a sweet boyfriend and created a picture perfect life, built a house, had two cars, a good stable income, a dog, and the only thing actually waiting was having children in the photo. But the feeling of being suffocated completely got to me, and I began to make some really, really bad decisions in my life. Not something I'm proud of, but I ended up having an affair for a year. And with that came a very poor mental health. I had guilt. It was literally eating me up, but the expectations from society kept me in the relationship with my boyfriend. And even though I was very, very unhappy. So, what happened next? I started to see a psychologist, and she actually made me realize that this was not the life for me. And I really had to take the leap and walk away from that perfect life and what everyone else expected of me. And so when I did that, everyone was completely in shock. So my family and friends literally thought like I had lost my mind. Trine, are you sure this is the right decision? You have everything anyone could ever dream of. What the hell are you doing? And that was actually the first time I chose to walk away from my perfect life. I
Wow.
took a different way than society really wanted me to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I totally get it. And thank you so much for sharing so authentically and being so brave because sometimes, when we share to others and they love you and they want the best for you, it's hard to make that decision. So well done. And I think so many people listening to this can relate, like creating the perfect life on paper, but not feeling fulfilled. And then we end up self sabotaging and really going to the lowest to finally realize, okay, I have to change. Is there a specific turning point for you that you realized you had or wanted to create something different? Like that's the moment that you decided everything had to change?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, after breaking free from that, I started to make some changes in my life. I got my own apartment, and with new beginnings, I mean, also come new relationships and stuff like that. So, to actually make it a bit worse, I found a new boyfriend, and he swept my feet away, and we ended up moving to Qatar, and I got engaged, and that actually turned out to be the absolute worst nightmare of my life because I was stuck in a very toxic relationship with a narcissist. But we don't have time to go into that now. But luckily, I made it out of that relationship before the wedding. And when I got back to Denmark, that was when I was completely broken from what I had experienced, and I felt like a complete failure because why couldn't I just settle with that normal life? So I had to go back to a job I actually hated, but I simply had no other choice because else how would I pay my bills, right? So
Yeah.
when I realized that I just become a shadow of myself, and I basically hit a deep depression of not knowing who I was anymore. I finally found myself an apartment, and that's when I truly realized that my dream life of actually living in nature and helping wildlife in Africa wouldn't just magically appear if I didn't
Yeah,
take action. So I knew I
definitely.
had to like get some sort of income, but how when the
How?
only way I knew was
Yeah.
through a physical job, right? With only 6 weeks of holiday per year.
So true. And I think that so many people, as you say, right, you stay stuck because you're like, well, I should be happy. I have everything, right? For me, it was more like, well, I, had the university degree, like I had the perfect job, great companies. And it's like, you
Yeah,
should be happy with this. And that's why also we feel uncomfortable, right? Like we have everything that everyone ever wanted. Like, how
yeah.
can we be so ungrateful? And I think that this is something I learned very recently, but sometimes we chase success first, also a
Mm,
definition of success that is not even ours. But in Tony Robbins' event, he said this, and it really hit me very hard. And it's like, we shouldn't chase success without fulfillment because that's the ultimate failure. Like, it's that combination of, okay, what is success for you? And is it fulfilling? And then you have, the key to everything. So I'm so happy, that even though you had to hit rock bottom, which happens to some of us, like some we need to go to the deepest, lowest to then change, but you took the leap. And honestly, congratulations, because not so many people are brave enough to do that. Um, so tell us maybe a bit of those first steps, right? As we said, we don't know, like there's something else out there, we're just
mm.
we don't know what to do. So how did you go from I want something different to actually doing it?
Yeah, for sure. And you're so right in everything you say. And that's when you really like, okay, you have to take some sort of action, but how, right? So that's when I started to do the big Google search how to make income online because I knew that staying stuck in a corporate would never bring me to Africa, right? So I came across so many different opportunities like drop shipping, but it seemed way too difficult of having like inventories and stuff. And there was some stuff about selling juice products and freelancing, and I thought, okay, this might be something. But luckily, I was at work some late shift and I was scrolling on Instagram, completely bored and tired of my life. And I came across an ad saying if I were ready to leave my 9 to 5 for good. And then I thought, Oh my God, hell yes, I am so ready. So, of course, I clicked and I went straight to a webinar I watched at work and learning how to make income online with my own business, a partnership, automated systems, just two young girls sitting there, just like me, explaining how they both started this business next to their job and then were able to quit their jobs after some time and work full time online whilst traveling and doing what they love. And I was like, what? Holy smokes. This is it, was my like instant thought, you know?
I
So I
remember that
was
feeling too.
seriously, it was amazing, right? So yeah, I mean, for sure, like to actually taking that step when I knew that I wanted something different was like for sure the feeling of that like massive internal pain of not wanting to be here anymore. And it felt like such a failure, you know? And I couldn't see myself out of it. But when my mind started to like long for that sunset in Africa and actually begin my research and find this opportunity and really see how this could be the vehicle, that's when I couldn't go back, you know. Once you
I
see it, you
know.
cannot
It,
unsee it,
it's
right?
so true, right?
So,
I always say that with first the web class and then the discovery process. Like when I
yeah,
saw that, when I saw the compensation plan, I'm like, there's no way I can just go back to my life now and pretend nothing ever happened.
I know exactly. That's the turning point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much for sharing that because I think sometimes like that scary first steps are the ones that are most important to take because there's those are the no risk ones, right? Like we're so scared to make them. Investing in ourselves it's scary, but then you do and it was the catalyst you needed. So definitely glad you did it also because we've met and that's one of my best things in this business. What would you say has been the biggest internal transformation you've experienced? Because we always think about a business for money, right? Like, yes, we want to make more money or have a second income, but it's so important that personal development and internal transformation we go through. What would you say it's yours?
Yeah. Wow. That is maybe like the biggest topic, right? Because I had never done anything in the personal development space before. I've done a little bit of meditation, but not really knowing the purpose of why I actually did it, only to get peace in my mind. Um, but with this business journey and what entrepreneurship really brings you is definitely the internal transformations because there are so many and it's hard to count really. But one thing for sure is that I have learned that I am worthy of a life where I'm happy. I am worthy of a life with peace and taking care of my mental health, and that I am the absolute only person who can make my dreams come true. Because you get nowhere with being a victim. And unfortunately, that's what society loves for us to be. But if you choose to see opportunities instead of obstacles in life, you will
Yes.
basically kill that victim mindset. And the fact that you will die if you're not growing is probably
I
the
know.
most accurate statement I've ever heard. Because that's what happened to me before this business. I was slowly dying and completely disappearing. But now I am living like never before just because I chose to take control of my life with this business.
Definitely. Like, honestly, with the victim mentality, and we're all there. So it's not even a, oh, I'm better than you. We all have it at some point, but we
For sure.
also have the choice to get out of it. And I think that that's so important. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think talking about this growth, lessons, mindset, you've been doing this for 2.5 years now, which is incredible. And I've seen this growth. So it's not even that you see it in yourself, but I've seen it so, so much. What would you say are some of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way?
Yeah. Talking about lessons, there is no such thing as failure, only lessons. And you don't know what life throws at you, but you can choose how you react to it. And honestly, you won't get anywhere if you're being selfish because you have to see the bigger picture here. And that is actually helping others. Because personally, for me, I was being very selfish when I started this business. I just wanted to get some money so I could go to Africa and get away from people. But the thing is, once you start building yourself and really get to know why you think like this, you start to see the bigger picture, and helping others is part of that. So, to help others, you need to help yourself. And that is done through healing your own wounds and to get into that deep inner work of why you have those scars that you have. And that took me a long time to realize this, but it's definitely the most rewarding journey I have ever experienced, even though it can be very hard, as you might know.
Yes. It's a journey we all need to go through, and sometimes I think that when we start this business, we think about it only the business part, and we're like, "Oh, I'm not growing fast enough. I had all these goals and I'm not where I want to be." But we forget about like all that personal development we need to do and know ourselves better. Like it's a shame no one taught us this before, because we could already have all this part done. But the business, the beauty of it is we get to experience it and it helps the journey both ways. So definitely, I know what you're talking about. We're
Sure.
working together and it never ends. That's the thing. It's a journey. I think that was my biggest lesson. This is a
Yeah,
journey, so it does
it's a
never
journey.
end. Like we keep growing and then new challenges come, we discover something new about ourselves, and then the next level is like unlocked, and then we need to do the next one. But that's the beauty of it too. So yeah, I think that's a very important part of it.
Mm.
One question I wanted to ask, because I think energy, vibration, it really is so important. I mean, I went to Tony Robbins' event and it was one of the biggest things. How do you keep your energy high and stay in alignment when challenges come up, right? Like, of course, you have your job, you do the business on top of a job. Like, how do you keep that energy and focus on the business?
Yeah, so first of all, energy and vibrations was a completely new thing for me when I started this. But yeah, well, challenges are something we really can't avoid living life, and especially when building a business. And once you handle one, you will just face another. But making sure that you see obstacles as opportunities to grow and remember to practice your gratitude, that's when the world is looking very much different, because that's when we really get into that whole vibrational frequency of gratitude and happiness. And of course, you know that I'm just like, I love to dance. So if I feel sad, put on some great music and just spin around and dance. That's for sure my way to
And
keep
it
up my
works.
energy.
That's the
Yeah,
beauty
it
of it,
does.
though, that it works when you're feeling down. The last thing you want to do is dance, but then you start dancing and it brings your
Mm,
energy up, right? So I think that
you know
that's
it.
like, yeah, thank you for sharing that. People should go and do it. Listen to Trina. This is like an amazing one. And
For
for me,
sure.
I wanted to ask, because of course the podcast is all about freedom, right? What does freedom mean to you today?
Yeah, freedom is definitely different now than it was when I started 2.5 years ago, because before I just wanted to get away from people and live in nature to help animals, right? But now, with this journey that we're talking about and all the growth that comes with it, all the lessons, freedom is just so much more. It's really being surrounded by people that I get to help with this business, because you suddenly see that there are so many like-minded people out there that you never knew about, right? And it's being able to have my mental peace and have that constant growth that really never ends, because that's how you learn to love yourself. And with love comes peace. And of
Yes.
course, to be able to still work in wildlife conservation and truly make a positive impact for the planet for sure.
I love that. And that's the thing, right? We can all have different goals. We can all have different definitions of freedom or what we want from this business, but it's a vehicle. Like anyone with dreams can get this vehicle and make their dreams come true. And I think that's so beautiful. So thank you
Mm.
for sharing yours because I think that that just, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And after being in Africa myself this year, I can totally understand you
Ooh.
want you want to do yeah, more good. And yeah, we need more people like this. We need more creators, people that want to do things in the world to make it better. So thank you so much.
100%. Thank you.
And sadly we're coming to the end. Well, I have a few more questions for you, but yeah, we'll just finish soon. So one very important thing is when you think about where you started and where you are now, right? What would you say to someone listening who feels stuck in corporate and scared to start?
Yeah, that's a good one. I can honestly say I can never go back to my life as it was
I know.
before. Because, yeah, right. Once you really start the journey of entrepreneurship, starting to grow yourself into the best version and truly see your own potential that comes with entrepreneurship and what you really can achieve with this business, there is no going back because I don't even care now if it takes me 3 years or
No.
5 years or even 10 years that if that was the case, which is not. But this is so worth everything I've
Yeah.
ever gone through in my life. And honestly, if you are scared and are still working a corporate job, I was too, and I am still building my business next
Yeah.
to my job. Because having the stability of an income to actually invest that money into your business to grow even faster is something I'd recommend to anyone starting this journey because the
Yes.
income allows you to put the right energy and learn how to build this business without the stress, right? So of
Exactly.
course you need to have that hunger and to be hungry for a life of freedom and living your dream life. But that's very much possible, even though you have a job. And if you can just block out 1, 2, or maybe
Yes.
3 hours per day, you can and will succeed.
I always say like freedom doesn't start with quitting your job. It starts with making a decision to the belief that you're capable of more. So Trina, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your story. I know so many people will connect deeply with what you said, and I'm just so proud of everything you've accomplished so far and looking forward to everything that there is to come. Do you want to give some final words for people who are listening?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And thank you so much for having me and for this invitation. You know, I am so proud of you for hosting this podcast. And I can't wait for the future ahead with you for sure. And I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that if I hadn't made the decision of starting this business, I don't know where I would be today. Probably not in a very good place, I think. But this business literally saved my life and I can truly say I have found my home. So if you guys ever want to get in touch, feel free to follow me on my Instagram at dk.trine. And I just wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you so much again. And just, it was a pleasure having you here. And I totally agree. Like, when you're stuck and you don't have a life that you want, like, you can start making the changes now. So, before we go, as I always say in my episodes, it's great that you're here listening, but it's even more important to take some action. So, this is a mini exercise for you, and I call it the Freedom Audit. So, before you go back to your day, make a quick freedom audit. In your notebook, draw two columns. On the left, things that energize you, that you love. Just write energizes me and just write about all the things that you love doing, activities, people to be around. And on the right, just write things that drain you. Okay? So, write currently your day to day and then pick one thing from the drains me column that you're going to change or delegate this week, no matter how small. But do it and you will see it makes a big difference. It is so important how we use our energy, and that is the thing we get a choice in. At the end, it's even more important when we decide to do something like creating a second income or changing our lives. We need to manage our time well, okay? So make sure to protect your time and use your energy wisely. Okay, freedom seekers, I hope this episode reminded you that it's possible for you too. Whether you're still in a 9 to 5 or already building something on the side, remember that every small step you take is a step closer to your dream life. If this episode inspired you, hit subscribe so you never miss one. Share it with a friend who needs that reminder that freedom starts within. And if you're ready to start your own journey, you can watch my free web class at www.discoverwitheugenia.com or message me directly on my Instagram at discoverwitheugenia to learn how you can begin your own discovery process already. You've got this, freedom seeker. Let's turn ambition into freedom. And remember, only you can set yourself free. See you next Tuesday.